Hey, welcome to the Christmas Day sanding stream. I'm still sanding, and you would not believe how much sanding I've done since the last show. I'm going to open up the control room now. Let's see here. See if we can get into this. New tab, YouTube, Creator Studio. Come on. YouTube has been extremely slow here lately. You want to go to the live control room. How do I get there? Let's try that. I don't know. To go live. And we want to look at this one. There we go, we got it. All right, I got the live control room open. I can watch that on this screen. Okay. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. If you joined last night, I was on, I don't know, till about midnight sanding. Turned the camera off, kept sanding, still sanding. And what we're doing now is I'm fixing all the little buggers. I've used the bulk of the primer I'm going to use. So now what's left in the can is just spot fixes. And that's what will give you a nice model. And this thing is starting to look pretty good. However, it is starting to pick up some weight. This primer cost me about 1.5 ounces to 1.75 ounces. So that's why I'm stopping on the primer. Today will be a full day of sanding. I mean, it sounds pretty boring, but in order to get a good model, I mean, one that really looks nice, that's what it takes. It's all about sanding. So, if you have any questions, post them in the chat box. I have the chat open so I can see that okay. And I'll just get to it. I'll start sanding. Or keep sanding, I should say, because I've been sanding since about 5 o'clock this morning. Went to sleep at about midnight and woke up at 5. And that's not my normal time. Normally I get up at 3, but I go to bed earlier. Trying to get my best work done in the zen in the middle of the night. Nobody's around. I'm not on YouTube. I'm hoping to get this ready to go into color tomorrow. I talked to John this morning. He said more like Friday, but I think tomorrow. Depending on how much I want to sand this evening. Let's see who we got there. Gary Sinclair. No, Greg Meyer. Yes, it is heavier than the Napa primer, but it covers better. It covers 4 times as good because it is higher in solids. I don't think there's quite as much xylene in it because even though my hands are tingling, the Napa primer would make your hands feel raw after this much sanding. So while there's xylene in it, I don't think there's as much. So what we're looking for on this is any little perfection. You know, I was gonna, let me see if I can get a piece of paper here. Now this is not my so-called theory or whatever. This is actually Wendy's presentation, but I'll go ahead and give it to you anyway, because it's really relative as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we have a balsa with me. Get the airplane out of the way, and I'll give this rendition. And this is what makes a light finish, what I'm going to show you here. And you kind of got to keep this in mind. I don't know if these pens even work, but we'll give her a shot. Okay, you have your wood surface, which is represented by this ballpoint pen line. And in that wood surface, you've sanded grooves into it with 80 grit or what. Hopefully you get it at least down to 3600 or 3600. You get it down to 320 paper. So there's the line. So you're going to come down with, let's say, 400 sandpaper, and you're going to cut the tops of these mountains off. You're going to flatten them out. So then you're going to, well, we're going to put some primer on it. That's represented by this green line here. And we're going to fill those grooves. Well, then you're going to come by and block sand that again with 1000 grit or what have you. And that's represented by this orange line. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to knock the tops of the mountains off, or the deep scratches. And then when you come back with your 5000 grit sandpaper and bone it out, it becomes perfectly flat. And that's what gives you the mirror reflection with the least amount of material used. So you have to, first you sand with 80. I use 36. Then I go to 80. If you got to move a lot of material, then you're going to drop to 180 to knock the tops of those mountains off. Then you're going to drop to 220 to flatten those out more while you're block sanding. Then you're going to drop to 320 and start your priming. So you've primed it, you've knocked these are microscopic scratches too. It's not exaggerated like I've drawn out here. It's not, you know, huge like that. It's they're microscopic. But after you've primed it and you're going to sand it with 320 with a block, you're just trying to flatten those mountains off. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. And as I said, that's not my presentation. That's a Wendy presentation. And I knew it, what he was talking about, but I thought that, hey, that was a good way to explain it to people. So that's why all the sanding, you're basically knocking the tops of the mountains off. And that's why the shine comes from sanding and not from paint. Because I'll guarantee you I could take a piece of balsa wood without any paint zero paint, and make it shine. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself at home. And take a piece of 1/4 inch or whatever and sand it with 320, 400, 600, 1200, 1000, 2000, and 5000, and polish it, and it will shine with no paint on it, period. So, how many of you guys knew that? I don't know who all is watching, but only 3 watchers. Looks like I'm going to have to sand that a little bit too. That cowl keeps moving. I had a super tight lap joint when I started. Put the fiberglass on it, and the door, unless it's a shadow from the hardwood, I don't know. But we'll straighten it out. Okay, so back to the rubber block. I'll show you what I mean about this sandpaper. This is the Amazon 3M professional body shop sandpaper in a block. I had a blemish on this flap where I scraped it with my fingernail, and I had to repair it. So most sandpaper loads up like this, and you can sand with this stuff, and all you have to do is rub it on a cloth, and it completely unloads. I'm not sure if that's because of the grade of paper or the design of the paper or what, but that helps. That helps in 2 different ways. First off, if you got any contaminants under the paper, you end up digging scratches into the soft balsa wood. So I suggest you unload the paper many times as you go. Use your pants, use your wife's tablecloth. Yep, keep sanding. This is the area that I look for at the Nats or whatever. How good was the modeler? Right around the fillets, leading and treading edges. So take some extra time to make them super nice. When you're sanding these, if you see any discoloration, I'll turn it around and show you as I'm doing that. If you look here, you can see a dark line. Let me see if we can get it, zoom in. This camera's not all that great, but you can see a dark line right there. And there's a dark line around the corner of this right here. Well, I don't want to see that stuff. So if you don't fix it, let's see if I can get it down. And as I stated, it's real hard to teach sanding over the internet. soft foam block. It conforms to a round corner or whatever when you put it in there. Just drag it around there and keep going until all them dark spots go away. We had a pretty good crowd last night. There, I got it. Which is amazing because, you know, I didn't know you guys wanted to see me sand. I could post videos from now till the end of time sanding because that's all there is in model airplane building is sanding. And the sanding is 99% of the build. And this time right now is the time that can kill your airplane. Because we have to sand all this primer off. It, you know, it can't be, it has to be translucent. It can't be opaque. It has to, I have to be able to see through it before I put the first coat on it. And I've been debating, because I've been using this primer, whether I'm going to base coat this airplane before I shoot the red on or not. I think I'm gonna. I think I might miss the 40-ounce target, maybe by an ounce or two. We'll end up around 41, 42. I'm gonna dust a coat of white on it before I shoot Miss Ashley red, because I want a real bright red. If you shoot Miss Ashley red over primer, it's dark. If you go back and watch the Monado build, it looks peach in the, or salmon. That's what it looks like. We don't want that. We want super bright red on this, like a Ferrari red or something like that. I've taken some of that green putty and put it down here in the canopy inside the cockpit, and by the looks of it, I'm going to have a hell of a time getting that sanded out inside there. That might take hours by itself to do. Oh no, this file gets it pretty good. Then I can glue some sandpaper on my fingertips and get down in there too. And it's inside the cockpit's going to be black anyway. But you know, what is good enough? Good enough to you is, you know, there's different degrees of good enough. My good enough is it better be perfect. So that's going to take a few. That'll take a few sand outs inside there. I see. I'd like to get this area here painted white and red today, so I can affix the canopy or the windscreen. If you watch the video of pulling canopies, we pulled some canopies. It's been 2-3 weeks ago. I think this build has been going on about 3 months, and and it's only been an hour a day up until it's finishing time. I haven't done anything on the push, but I'm at home now during the holidays, so I got to make hay while the sun's shining, and that's why the big push to paint, because I can't paint in that little one-room apartment. I'm sure the neighbors would call the police. He's making crack over there. He's touching, he's looking. Had some guy email me yesterday wanting to close his account on Stunhanger. Well, first off, you don't have an account. You're only registered. Second off, all you got to do is go on your profile and hit delete my account. But if he emails me back, I'll delete it for him. You go over on Facebook. I don't expect Facebook to be around too much longer anyway. They've made their money. People think I'm making a big killing on Stunhanger. They're sadly mistaken. Okay. We'll be working on the cockpit area off and on. Now you'll notice I didn't prime any of the open bays. Don't do that, because all you're doing is carrying around material you can't get off. There's no need to prime open bays. The reason you're priming is to get rid of grain. And there's no grain in the open bays, so you fill that with clear dope. Absolutely no sense in carrying around extra weight. So far, this airplane, I've used 1.5 cans of that $15 a can primer. And like I said, I'm pretty much done with the biggest amount of primer. There might be some spots on the bottom, but DC 540 would have took about 4 cans to get this far. But it is lighter, but it's not as much solids in it. The Zen of sanding. Another thing you can do to see how you're progressing is we'll hit this in a second. Is you take your Windex and squirt it on there, and that brings the shine up, and wipe it off with a paper towel. And that removes of course, the dust. But while it's wet, you can see, is this thing going to shine? Is it going to look like hell? What's it going to look like? So take a paper towel. Get some of the dust off of it, because you're going to get more dust off when you hit it with the Windex. Oh, we got another. Yeah, looks like plastic. Do you sand the clear on the open bays between the coats? If so, what sandpaper? Yes, I sand the open bays inside. In here, 320. Now this back half is ready to paint, except it still has too much primer on it. I'm going to have to keep sanding until I can see through the primer. That mistake or blemish that I had last night where I did the operation and put CA down on it, you can't even tell that was done. So that turned out really good. That beats the heck out of breaking out the Japanese tissue and the clear dope and going through all that business. I also reshaped this area right here this morning. I didn't particularly care for it, and I'm not sure I'm done doing that. It actually needs to drop some more, but this is the shape of the original. So I don't want to. That would be like me going, well, that airplane doesn't look quite right. That Spitfire P-51 or whatever. I'm going to change the shape of the rudder. But the designer, as far as I'm concerned, should have carried this out some more and put a more pronounced dip in that. But this is right off the plan, the way it is. Yeah, this has got, I think, 4 or 5 coats of clear on it in the open bays. I just take 320, small piece. This is the Zen as well. And you just go in here and don't sand the edges. If you sand the edges, it'll cut the paper. And just like that, I mean, no big deal. The real sanding on open bays, the hard sanding, is in the 2000 grit area where you're wet sanding. Yeah, and if you're doing I-beam wing, that's exceptionally difficult. You got to tear the sandpaper into 1/2 inch or cut the sandpaper into 1/2 inch strips so you don't get up on the ribs. But that's what makes a good looking model. I'm sorry I can't make the stupid thing work with Jitsi so you can come in and talk to me, but I guess the bandwidth here is not as good as Dayton. Let's look at this and I'll show you. Okay, this has been primed. It hasn't been sanded. As a matter of fact, it was primed, sanded, and re-primed. So what you want to do is that it had some blemishes in it. You want still got one right there. If you sand it one time, you can see that. You can see that little dot right there. I'm probably not going to do anything about it this time because it's like the 3rd sand out. but you want to bring all the tops down to the lows. Yep, that one went away. I will not be showing the actual spraying of it. I'll come back after I spray. And I probably won't get till that till tomorrow. We got another question. Let me look and see what that says. I can't see across the room. I got my high magnifiers on. Where do you buy this paper at? Easier than Polyspin. Are you talking about Silkspan? This model is covered with Japanese tissue on the fuselage, all the wood surfaces, and triple aught Silkspan on the wings. They're double aught. Got that at Brodax. The Japanese tissue came from England, $6 a sheet. I had never used it before, so I wanted to test it on the hard surfaces before doing the open bay work. But after using it on, and I should have covered well, you can't. I should have tested it before I covered this wing, because had I have tested it before I covered this wing, this would have Japanese tissue on it as well. Because the Japanese tissue came to a shine in 3 coats of dope. They got 3 coats under it for a base, and 3 coats of dope. Three coats of dope for a top coat before you could go to paint. So if I had to do again, it'd be Japanese tissue on the wings. Very delicate stuff. Poke a hole in it really easy. So if you're a clod, probably shouldn't use it. Really expensive, because the reason it's expensive is Japanese tissue is handmade, usually only made in 18 or, yeah, I think it's 18 by 24 inch squares. This is 18 by 36 inches long for free flight gliders. Let's see, we got a little, hey Holly, how you doing? Yeah. This is just a popsicle stick with 320 sandpaper glued to it, sticky back paper. I used to buy all the women's files at Walgreens, but I really no need to do it. I could do it like this. Merry Christmas to you too, Holly. This project will be a non-stop project until I get it done, because I only got a week. So for those who are interested, I will be posting some videos on the finish as it progresses. If you guys are interested. I don't know where most people's skill levels are at. I got another one of those messages yesterday that I make it look so easy. Well, it is easy. It's just practice. Since you guys have been following Stunhanger, just since you guys been following Stunhanger, I've built probably 100 airplanes. And those are not light streaks and that stuff. Let's see. How many airplanes have I built? 7 Thunderbolts. Nah, probably 50 airplanes since I started Stunhanger. Because I don't know. A lot. The bad thing about some of this stuff is you don't do it every day, so you lose kind of your skills at it. I thought, well, maybe I'll forget how to sand, but that's one thing that's been pretty consistent with me. I haven't forgot how to sand. Kind of drummed into my psyche. The other day at work, I couldn't get bolts nuts on these screws up inside a tail light. So I went to the office and I asked the secretary, "Got any super glue?" And she said, "What for?" I said, "Well, I'm going to super glue this nut to my finger." So did the old modeler's trick, super glued it to my finger, reached up in there, screwed it in, done, then pulled it off. So anybody that thinks that model building can't help you in the real world is not correct. So we have a spot here on this side. One thing I don't like is I've sanded out those wheel pants and I've got the wheels taped up. It won't roll. Let's look down here. If you look right here, the transition line, you can see that. If you can see it in primer, it will show in paint. So do the little small circle, sand out, and hopefully get it out of there. If you sand back and forth like this, all you're going to do is dig a hole. So you're trying to blend that line in, so small circles. And it's moving a lot of material because I think I got it. Yep. Got a little spot right there. Yeah, so you got a super chat. We thank you for that. Let's see who that was. Hey, Middlesex Modelers. Yes, it's working. It works good. Thank you. Middlesex, you're the one who turned me on to it, I think. As I've stated today, yesterday, it's a little different than DC 540. A little heavier, way more, costs way more. but it has a good side to it. You don't have to use as much. What do you need the ailerons for? Okay, these are not ailerons, these are flaps. They're opposing flaps. When the elevators go down, the flaps go up. When the elevators go up, the flaps go down, creating more lift in either direction. The airfoil is symmetrical so that it will turn and fly the angle of attack the same, upright and inverted, if you built it right. You could do that probably with an RC airplane. I think they made an RC Nobler. I don't know if it worked the same as a Nobler, but we're trying to do some crazy things with our airplanes, Holly. We're trying to make this model fly left, so the inboard wing is asymmetrical, meaning that the inboard wing is 1 inch longer than the outboard wing, because we have 60 to 70 foot of cable, and you don't want to use as least amount of wingtip weight as possible. So you say, well, if you lengthen the inboard wing, how would that make you use less? Because you've got more material out, it creates more lift. So it causes the airplane to roll out away from you. Hey, Feliz Navidad, Jose. And Año Nuevo. My friend from, I think, Portugal, or, yep, Portugal. So, keep sanding. This is the fiddly time. It's unbelievable how much sanding goes into these. And I don't suggest, as I stated, if you're a beginner, don't bother with a build like this. Just get some ARFs and go crash them. If you're an intermediate, you can step up to a nicer airplane, but that's where you're starting to develop your building skills in intermediate and advanced. And advanced, if you're going to fly advanced at the Nats, which is really expert, you're going to have a pro stunt airplane, so you better learn how to build. Flying skills, there's no sense in building an airplane that's only going to last 2 laps. Because you never know, I could build this and take it out and it'd be 2 laps and in the ground. Pick the handle up wrong or some crazy thing. Lines get stuck. So you've wasted about 400 hours of work. But the purpose for my airplanes is to compete. And in order to compete, you got to have appearance points. Even at Classic at the Nats, they got appearance points. So I'd like to get the maximum. Heck, I'd like to win Spirit of 62 award at the Nats. Put them on, take them off. Put them on, take them off. I can hardly wait till I get them painted and they go get glued on forever. I just don't like that. But like I say, that's how it is that's how it is on the plans. I'd like to have stay as close to fidelity as I can on this. The only thing I did change was the construction. If you watch the chat session Monday night, Bob Hunt said a Tucker special with Warren Truss wings. Yep, that's exactly right. And there ain't nothing illegal about it. Doesn't say how you have to build it, just says it has to be true to the dimensions. Don't be afraid to make tools to sand with. Little dowels, any sanding aid you can get for shape. Because in the body world, let's see if I got it over here. Where did I do it? Ah, I've lost it now. Maybe I threw it in there. Let's see here. Well, I had a body shop tool around here. Unbelievable. Too much crap. Ah, here it is. Now you wonder, when I say dowels and tubes, and this is for sanding on the cars, and it's a round rubber. I mean, it's flexible, but you put sandpaper on this and you sand contours. I'm going to take that back with me because I could use that because they make me do the body work at work. Now you can sand contours in cars with that. So look for some Durablocks on Amazon. Probably the best investment I ever bought for sanding blocks. They don't weigh anything. They're straight, super light, like sanding with a block of balsa wood. So up here I have another one of those mystery spots. Let me put this flat back on and I'll show you. And this will go on until I'm satisfied. Until I abandon it. Look it over and sand until you're satisfied. If you look right there, there's a slight line where the fillet transitions, because I do my fillets with my fingers. So you pushed it in there and it runs up into the wood. Well, I was asked, I wasn't asked yesterday, it was kind of stated about how a gentleman made his fillets, they always bubble up. Well, you don't never put fillets underneath tissue. This is tissued, then the fuselage is tissued, and then the fillets go on, and then they're sanded in. and then I prime them, and I take my little. I spend all this time sanding out the line. So we're back to the little circles. And trust me, you could spend a month doing it. I won't, but I don't have the time for that. Because no matter how good you get it, I'll guarantee I can find a spot somewhere. It just depends on where you want to abandon it at. You know, my one friend said, it's good enough for who it's for. Well, I guess that's how you feel. But there does come a time where you go, well, this is just insanity. It helps, and you see, you know, all this dust coming off. Well, that's just more room for paint. Because I figure the top coat's going to weigh about 3 ounces. And that'll put us real close to the limit. But remember, just don't grind back and forth like this. You'll just dig a hole. Round little circles to sand that groove out. And I'll guarantee you this finish will be better than the Monado. Simple fact, there's not as much airplane. It's more concentrated. I don't have to work on a 60-inch wingspan airplane. I have to hit it with some primer right there. That's a high spot there for some reason. That's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. It takes what it takes. Around the leading edge. That leading and trailing edges. When I pick up your airplane, that's the first place I'm gonna look. Because I know how hard it is to do. It covered it pretty good. We got kind of a, I can't tell, there's a kind of an aberration there, but it should be all right. Maybe it's just a reflection. Another thing, another cheat that I'll teach you. If you have a mistake in the woodwork where you've got a joiner line or maybe a piece of grain showing or whatever, don't try to hide it, because that draws my eye right to it. Accentuate it. So if you got where the datum line is, the top block and the fuselage sides meet each other. I use alphatic resin glue on it so that mine disappear. But some guys CA them on, and they try to hide it by painting a line there. Oh, no. Put an ink line on it. Accentuate it. Make it look like it was supposed to be there. And that'll hide it. And it hides it pretty good too. Let's see, we got something else up there. Let's see. Do you ever tried waterborne based colors and 2-pack polyurethane clear? Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, waterborne based colors. I don't think there's nothing that I know of that you could put dope on with or put tissue on with besides dope. So have I tried polyurethane water-based paint? No. What happens to balsa wood or any wood when you put water on it? The grain rises and it swells. Now I know there's guys out there doing it. I just have not. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. The next thing is when you talk polyurethane. Polyurethane is plastic, but it's a different kind of plastic because dope is plastic as well, but it's a different kind of plastic. This plastic has no evaporation. Whatever that paint weighs, let's say that you have a quart of paint and you put it in the mixing cup and you put it on the scale, and that quart of paint weighs 16 ounces. And you say, well, I'm going to thin it down and spray it. So then you double that, that's 32 ounces. Well, you're not going to end up with 32 ounces on the airplane. You're going to end up with 16 ounces on the airplane. And anybody that tells you that one coat of polyurethane weighs 1 ounce is full of it. Because it's not right. It's about 3 ounces per coat. So no, I polyurethane the nose. First off, you don't really care if you're adding a little weight to the nose. And second off, you kind of have to, because even though dope is fuel resistant, it's not fuel proof. And 10 or 15% nitro will eat the nose off the airplane. But I've been fiberglassing all the noses, and then and anybody that's seen my airplanes in person, just as you cannot tell the transition line between the fiberglass and the tissue here, you can't tell the transition between the polyurethane that I shoot on the nose and the dope for the simple fact the way that I do it. But urethane is a mechanical bond, meaning that it has to have tooth, like I showed in the demonstration of the painting and the sanding. These little bumps in this are known as tooth. And all urethanes or all plastics, paint, enamels, need that tooth to adhere to the coat underneath it. Whereas dope doesn't. It could be dead flat, and dope will adhere to that coat underneath because of the chemical bond, the chemicals that are in it. It softens up the layer of paint underneath and bonds to it. So dope is a mechanical, or urethane is a mechanical bond, and dope is a chemical bond. That's it's something that I've learned over the years. I mean, it's no big mystery. Just as I've seen guys using polyacrylic as a finishing type resin on wood. I don't think I'm going for that either. I know there's guys that do it, just not for me. And as my friend and I were talking last night, my way is not the only way. You can do it any way you want. My way just works for me. And the people have seen my airplanes, their results speak for themselves. But the thing that gives you results is elbow grease. Lots of grease in the world, but you need plenty of elbow grease if you want a nice looking airplane. Kind of get burnt out on sanding. Let's see, do we have any watchers? How many watchers we got? Wow, quite a bit. 10. Hey, hit that thumbs up button. I see you got 10 watchers and only 4 likes. The likes and even the dislikes help move the channel forward. So if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. I hate the thumbs down. It's just so much work goes into this stuff. But it helps the channel metrics. It helps the channel grow. It also moves you up in the search results as far as engagement goes. So I'll show you what the wheel pants turned out like. Like they have tape on the wheels, but they're all sanded in. They look real good. There's no buggers anywhere. They're ready for the base coat. And how they're going to get painted, if everything goes right. First they'll get shot with white, then they'll get shot with gold, and the gold will come down across this way and forward, and then come down across this way and back on top, 2 squares. And that gold will get taped off, and then it'll get shot with Miss Ashley red. There'll be ink lines to show separation between the gold and the red, and what those gold squares represent. If you look at a real MC-72, it had radiators everywhere. Wheel pants, well, they weren't wheel pants, they were floats, but they were in the floats. The wing is the same way. It will be a gold stripe here. I'll probably do a silver de-icing boot. If the real airplane, I can't remember whether the real airplane had it or not. And then a gold radiator here. This will be Miss Ashley red, the aileron, simulated aileron, the wingtip, and of course the center section. The front had a big silver, I don't know, looked like aluminum with Zeus fasteners on it that went into the spinner. So that'll be silver. Then there's a black stripe that runs this way. And then the 16 exhaust stacks stick out the sides. I'm probably going to use the same method that I used for the Thunderbolt to simulate the smoke. And this is, I did it, but it's not mine. It's stolen from Al Rabe. He's the guy who really pioneered that. Yeah, balsa wood forever. Yep, you bet, Bill. 60 years, that's about right. We're kind of a dying breed. I've been doing this, let me see, I get my calculator out, figure my age out, and then I'll tell you how many years I've been doing it. Let's see here. Well, it's more years than I thought. I've been doing this 58 years, the exact same way. Yeah. When I look in the mirror, I don't look that old to me anyway, but I guess I am. 58 years. I could tell you everything in my life by a model airplane experience. I had this Thunderbird. It was purple. My uncle Jerry used to fly with my dad in 1949. They flew speed, and my uncle Jerry came and lived with us, and he decided he. I mean, this is basically a hand me down related type hobby for me. He lived with us, and he built this Thunderbird, and that's where I got introduced to the talcum powder aerogloss smell for filler. God, it smelled so good. Baby powder and aerogloss. But he left and he left me that airplane and sat up on top of the overhang of the bar we had in his house in Los Angeles. And I said, I kept looking at it and looking at it. I finally got it down and I finished it. And I was a young kid back in the day. I didn't realize, first off, how bad McCoy's backfired, notorious for backfiring. And I really didn't think much about wiping the airplane off after each flight. Well, in the Ollie's parking lot, a kid named Steve Taylor was my flying buddy at the time. He was holding the airplane, pulled the McCoy over, flipped it, got a bump. Okay, great. Gave it a flip, it back flipped and went poof, and it caught fire. Well, I started blowing on the exhaust stack, and I guess I was stoking the flames. That airplane burned up in the parking lot in no time. We were I didn't know anything about much about fuel back then either. And that's probably why my McCoys didn't last long. It didn't have enough oil in it. I was using missile mist and Cox glow fuel, whatever. I was a kid. Couldn't figure out, you had to have the right stuff. So that thing went up like a torch. It went woof. Never forget that. Broke my heart. I probably should build another Thunderbird. The only bad thing is they didn't fly that well. I've had Thunderbirds since that one, but the bad thing about back in the day, where Williams talking about 60 years ago, 58 for me or whatever, is the kits weren't very good. They were die crush. There was no laser cut kit. They had a way of stamping them, but they didn't come up separate from the wood, and the wood was real grainy stuff in the kits. I can remember. I think I've told this story before. My very first airplane that I attempted to build was a gallows kit, and anybody that's built the gallows kit, or anybody that buys a gallows kit for their kid, should be shot, because I don't think I could build one to this day. The wood is so hard. Each piece has to be cut out. It's like using pine, and it's more of a scale type model where it's bulkheads and stringers and really crappy. But they came with bell cranks and stuff. But I finally realized that that little stuff didn't fly that good, and kind of moved on to the big stuff. Yep, I got. If you follow my channel, if you follow my channel and you see me in Dayton, I got some gas 40s there, but here I have a gas 40, which is a ringed 40, George Aldrich type. This is a McCoy 40 black case. This is the dreaded McCoy 35. These are all good engines, by the way. They probably need to be cleaned. And then this is a McCoy 40 blue head, which they all work. The color of the heads didn't much matter. This one here, I have one of these in Dayton as well. This has a Series 21 sleeve head and a piston rod in it, so it's a ringed 40. And these run extremely well. Back from the day where he's talking about, we also used to, well, I got another one over here. What the hell? I didn't realize I had another one. Got another 60 Super Tiger. Back in the day where he's talking about, we used to run these too. Merkel 61s. That's a 49 there. That's a 61. These run every bit as good as Super Tigers. This is a 49, but it's a RC 49. These run every bit as good as Super Tigers, but they're about an ounce heavier. And there's no muffler lugs on them, so you're at a loss there. Shit, I got Super Tiger 60s up the wazoo. I got 4 in Dayton, and here's another one. 4. I got 5 in Dayton, and here's another one. And then, of course, the good old standby, the G2146. These were good for classic airplanes. Holly, I have built a ton of RC airplanes. I built a bunch of them. For the hobby shop, Shaper's Hobby, I used to build RC airplanes for him to sell and display and whatever. So I know how they work. I'm the world's worst RC flyer. You give me that control, you can expect that airplane's gone. I don't know, it's something to do with my brain, I guess. I get confused because all I've done is control line all my life. I can remember at Whittier Narrows flying in the grass and then seeing those RC airplanes down towards the gully, walking down there. Nobody flies RC because that's back when they had a box with a push button. All it gave you was the rudder. I think it called it proportional RC. I don't know. I said, I'm not going to bother with that. I was having too much fun with the control line, and I'm glad I stuck with control line. You don't see airplanes, at least not anymore, that are built like this at the RC field. They're all ARFs or foamies. But I do encourage RC flyers to watch my channel because everything that I do here is 100% applicable to RC if you choose, if you want to build an RC airplane. But I'm sure, and I'm sure you could lose it pretty quick too there. But no, I'm not very good at RC, so I don't bother with it. I don't know anything about it. My scale plane, I don't know. Holly, have you seen my scale airplane? It has an RC transmitter in it. I'll bring that out. I'll show it to you. Dusted off, been hanging on the wall for 2 years now without moving. Oh boy. Boy, it's a dusty too. This has onboard sound. It's electric, which I really don't care for. This is my first scale air entry into the nationals. I got third place because of prejudice, I think. Got beat out. Well, I did lose. I should have been Grand National. I would have been Grand National champion had the cowl not flown off and disqualified my one flight. But I got third place with this airplane. I think it's exceptionally light for a scale airplane. It's about 65 ounces. And scale airplanes normally are a turd. Oh, you did see it. Oh, okay, great. I have a lot of stuff I don't bring out much, but I need to wipe this off anyway, so we'll put it back on the wall. The color is Cadillac Chartreuse with Cadillac red. I had to retrofit it and put that Sato 80 in it. This was a prototype kit from John Brodak, a gift. The kit was a gift, and I kind of built the very first one out of the kit. Yeah, enough of that. I was going to donate it to the Brodak Museum, but I don't think I'm going to do that now because I'm not sure how long the Brodak Museum is going to be there. I might take it to Wicks. Let them hang it in the Wicks aircraft shop. Either that or Shaper's Hobby 1. I don't know. Let me put it back. Oh, man. Okie dokie. Back to sanding with Spark. My wife Mandy is looking too now. Oh, well, I hope she got to see it before I put it away because I'm not going to get it back out. It's way too much work to get off the wall. I guess you saw this one too, Holly. This is the one that you like so much. Boy, it's dusty too. I need to dust this one off. Get this out of the way and I'll dust this one off. It's been hanging in the shop for a year. Wow, almost lost it. This is a replica of the Tom Warden Continental. Built exactly to his numbers. Not true. The nose is 1 inch shorter on this one than his. Because he said it flew like a lowered 49 Merc. The original one had a McGass 40 in it. This one has a George Aldrich D21 46 Super Tiger. Real gold leaf. As done on my gold leaf made easy video for the sign painters who mocked me at how I did it. The explanation has been said many times why I did it that way. But it worked, and it works perfect. Would I do it again that way? Yeah, if I'm going to do gold leaf, which I might. $1969 or 70. This is the airplane that really got me enthused in this hobby. I saw this airplane, I fell in love with it. This is not a Chipmunk. This is a Continental. It is in Art Shaw's paint scheme. God, the dust is unbelievable. This is an old airplane. I built this one in I don't know, beginning of the 2000s. It's probably 15 years old, somewhere in there. But it doesn't see much action. I wonder how much this dog weighs. I forgot. Weighs 49.9 ounces, which is probably a pound a pound lighter than the original. That's covered with polyspan. I don't think I would do that again. I like the polyspan for the durability, but it uses way too much paint to fill. I could have made that at least three ounces lighter, at least. So back to sanding. I hope you guys enjoyed the quick show and tell. I got more airplanes, but I'm not gonna drag them off the wall. I got right now in Dayton. I have one, two, three, 4, 5. I have 6 airplanes in Dayton. This one will be 7 in a little tiny room. I sold my my second generation high roller, the orange one that I hadn't finished, just for the simple fact I'm not I'm not real thrilled on the big airplanes. We got a spot there. It's going to take some acro green, I think. I can sand that right down to the bare wood. As I've stated in the other videos, you got to be real careful with this acro green. This stuff is so heavy. Why most of it's left here on the magazine. It dries real quick, so you gotta. Well, the thinner and it is still, the stuff is still soft. You gotta put it on, so you put a size of a cap the size of a dime on this. You take a little dab on a razor blade and you put it into the little hole, and that's it, and you waste the rest. So it don't last real long. Most of it's wasted. See if I got any other spots I need to get when I'm doing this. Not that I can see, but I'm sure one will show up. Oh, boy. What do you like most for covering wings and fuselages? Well, I would have to say silk span. I mean, I can do it all. Monocoat, polyspan, silk span, Jap tissue. I'd have to say just regular old silk span. However, the stuff we're getting today, I had just heard that the reason why silk span was discontinued was there was some type of carcinogen in it because it was tea bag material or something to that effect. However, I don't believe it. I just think they quit making it because there wasn't a demand for it. But we have switched over to this doctor paper. Which you get a case of 12 rolls of this, and there's 125 foot of doctor paper in it. And this stuff acts exactly like medium weight silk span. So this is that's a valid, alternative to polyspan or silk span. Then of course the polyspan, but you better make damn sure you get the shiny side up on this or you'll regret it. Oh man. But I really like that $6 a sheet Japanese tissue too. That stuff unbelievable, but it's real delicate. It finishes quick. The fuselage on the shoestring is done in SIG coverall. I think that's what it is, SIG coverall, where you dope it on and then heat it to shrink it, and it's a cloth. And the reason being is I was going to cover that in silk span and make it light, but I couldn't get it to go around all those goofy compound curves. I suppose if I pieced it in, I could have done it, but I got that coverall to go around the whole fuselage in one or two pieces, so that was a good way to go on that. But then again, that stuff's real heavy. And if you don't think that weight is important, add a Fox 35. Build your airplane and add a Fox 35 somewhere on it. Carry the dead weight around and see what you think. Check the performance. You gain a lot of horsepower by building a light airframe. Let's see how long I've been talking for. Hour and a half. I probably bored you guys to death. How many watchers? We still got 10 watchers and 10 likes. That's good. We did some super chats. Appreciate the super chat from Minnesota Modeler. And yes, Middlesex Modelers, excuse me. And the Crest primer works absolutely fantastic. It's just real pricey. But what would you be doing? You could either buy $150 worth of primer and end up with a nice model, or you could take that $150, go out and get a steak dinner and a couple of drinks, and you're done. And then you just go to the toilet and deliver it into the toilet and flush it down. So at least I got something when I'm done. It's all on how you look at things, I guess. My buddy Gary says, we just need to go get something to eat. What do you want to eat? Just something to make a turd. They're about right. You've been watching me for an hour and a half. I've been babbling. Haven't really been standing, but I've been standing since 5 o'clock this morning. Come midnight tonight, this thing should be pretty close to paint. If I stick to it and sand. I hear motorcycles outside. I wonder if my club brothers are coming to wish me a happy Merry Christmas. You know, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for Super Chat. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the videos. I'll be back later this evening with a progress update. And we'll see you then. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.